What do y'all think about Elon Musk trying to like buy the entire, I guess, stock or the entire company of Twitter? Did y'all hear about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I
that's a boss move. I'm looking at it from the point of view because I own some Twitter stock, and they haven't been doing too great, and they are in need of an Elon Musk kind of shift change. You know what I mean? Let him bring his AI robot type thinking to Twitter and shake it up. I was all for it because it's not doing great right the way it is right now.
I mean, well, his main grievance he said was just because he doesn't like how they limit free speech. But also, where do you draw the line between free speech and misinformation and harassment? All those three things, like meeting in the middle. Is there no lines? Is there? It sounds like he wants to have no lines, but the other like more corporate companies want to have at least some lines to have a TOS and all that kind of stuff.
I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, I mean, we don't live in a perfect society where you could only speak the truth. But then again, that's where it's like it's on us to actually do the research, the discovery, whenever we hear something. It's got to be cross-referenced. We do it at a very basic level, right? Whenever we see something on Twitter or just read a random article that Google sends your way or whatever, you're like, is this true? And then you kind of wait for like a couple other notable news sources, and I'm putting quotes in the air, before you're like, man, I wonder, I guess this may be true. I don't know. And then, so we do that at the very basic level. It's just, you would think our news sources, like, main news, the Foxes, CNNs, Al Jazeera, BBC, all of them, take it that much further and become that filter for the actual truth, or at least the truth to that point. I don't know.
I mean, I think people are afraid because it gives one person maybe too much power over what we can say. So I can see maybe people getting a little nervous, like because right now I think it's pretty spread out how the ownership is. But now if he comes in, he becomes a majority owner, and then he could just make huge changes, and nobody can do anything. But I don't know. Every company he's he's taken over, at least recently, is seems to be pushing the limits of technology. So I don't know. I'd be interested to see what he had in mind apart from just making it open. I'm sure he had a lot more things he would change.
I mean, he said he wanted to take it private. I know that's one thing.
Yeah, and that's because if you've seen the that documentary on Netflix called The Social Dilemma, which goes kind of analyzes all these social media companies and where they're you know where they're messing up. So like Facebook, Instagram, all of them are going through a lot of like legal trouble. A lot of their users are committing suicide, and they're being accused of having these platforms that are negatively affecting people. And when you go through that documentary, it's basically saying because these companies are publicly traded, they are forced every 3 months to give a quarterly report promising more growth every time. And if they don't have that more growth, the stock price goes down.
Mm.
So it's like they are now slaves to the shareholders. Like no matter what they actually believe, it doesn't matter. It's like if you don't have a million more users this month, then stock price is going down.
Right.
So by taking it private, it's like, we're going to build our platform the way we want, and we're not going to be under pressure. So the idea of it being made private, I think that part's a good idea because once you're public, man, you become a slave
What do you think?
Yeah,
to the shareholders.
shareholders, and this. Yeah, the last company I was at was private for a hot minute until recently, and they got bought out by a bigger company. So yeah, a lot of those, yeah, you quickly realize how much you relinquish ownership and set the hand of the board at this point. I don't- di- can, this is just me. Maybe I'm wrong, and I haven't followed this story as much as I should have, but I'm not sure how serious he was about buying it versus throwing it out there to, like, I don't know, induce some kind of action.
Well, he already gave them two options. He said either let me buy it. By the way, do you think the $43 billion evaluation he gave it was fair?
I I don't know if that's fair, but I did read something somewhere, I forget where, but I read it yesterday in that he still doesn't have the necessary funding. Like he's still working with banks to actually get the funding. So it's one of those things that I'm not sure how. Yeah, I don't know if this was like a power play for something else, like just throwing it out there in order to handle some kind of manipulation, whether like the same way he did with Bitcoin, the same way he did with Doge, the same way he's done with other stocks, where it's just
Yeah,
kind of like a manipulation is to work in some capacity. I'm not sure how
to,
serious he is about buying
to
buying
shift
it completely.
to shift attention in a direction he wants on a topic he wants.
Yeah. But that's just a guess based off like his history. I could be wrong. That's just a guess and a feel. Or maybe he's trying to be like, because I mean that dude Bezos bought the Washington Post
Did
what,
he?
like a couple years ago or something.
It's so
Yeah, may
interesting
want to
too.
Google that just to confirm. But yeah, that's wild as hell to think of.
It's so interesting to see like billionaires and stuff like that because like so you can buy pretty much anything on the planet. So like what's stopping them from like just like buying out like banks and like corporations and like making a monopoly of a lot of different things because if the owner of a big like if the owner of T-Mobile is willing to if he has a price and Elon hits it then like you know what I'm saying he just takes over so many companies like
But I think that's already happening. Like I mean they're already there. But so think about this way: the U.S. lobbying industry. Them fuckers that'll just come through and filibuster and take up time and make sure shit doesn't pass, and just
those
the
old
just the those it's just cock blockers. Or
old ass geezers.
well, I mean, no, not necessarily as old. The lobbyists could be people of any age. They're the ones that work for these corporations to come through and, sprinkle a little money here, talk a little this way. All of a sudden you got pipelines that can run where, the prior administration it couldn't run and all that sort of stuff, right? Like on average, I think the last 2 years it's been between 3.5 to 4.5 billion, like total lobbying money that's spent on trying to manipulate bills or get things to swing in a certain way. This dude Elon, just owning, how much did he pay for that 9% of Twitter? I don't even remember.
I'm not sure, but the offer he made now is it's pretty good. It's high. It's pretty high
40,
compared to.
yeah, it's something wild, right? Like,
Wait, he's getting a lawsuit right now. This the New York Times is saying he got a the lawsuit says Musk took too long to disclose his 9% stake in Twitter. Who does he have to disclose that? What the fuck?
yes. And hold on, we'll get to that. But like, okay, so he offered to buy Twitter for 43 billion, right? And that's
Yeah,
like this full
and
purchase. So
and
so
that was at 50. That's like $54 a share, and right
yeah.
now it might be like 43. So it's a good
It
bid.
says
It's the kind of bid that would make would give the board a headache because now all the shareholders want to cash in. They'd be like, "Yo, you have to accept this because I want to make that money."
yeah. Cause
Think, think,
go ahead.
go no, go
No,
ahead. Sorry.
all I was gonna say is Twitter shares as of April 4th. So this is a little bit a couple. I'm sure it must be higher now, but Twitter shares close up to 27% after Elon Musk takes his 9% stake. So he improved the price of the stock, but remember he also said like, hey, if you don't let me buy the whole thing, I just will want, and now I have to reevaluate. Maybe I don't want to be a partial owner. And if he does that, he knows that the price will tank. So it's kind of like he's putting them in like an ultimatum. He's like, do it as like he's strongholding them basically. Got him in a headlock. You know what I mean?
But that's what I mean. So like he if he does that, he's gonna profit 1 point something billion. Let's say he sells all the shares that he bought. He's gonna profit 1 point something billion. Like that's how easy it is for him to make money. But now think about this. All like let's say you get $4 billion a year from all these companies trying to lobby shit. Elon Musk is playing around with lobby money. And so that lets you know like these dudes like him and Bezos or whatever, they got so much loot. They don't care. They're beyond government. You know what I mean? Like, dude, you talking about $3 billion to lobby? I'm out here buying shares. These fools are out here trying to buy full on companies, buying space shuttles, going to the planets and whatever. So that lets you know how far ahead these dudes are when it comes to the government. And then this also is like that whole thing of like how he can be manipulating shit. And that's why he's being sued for that. Is because I forget what it is, but yeah, you do have to address a certain amount of shares that you buy in a certain time frame or whatever to prevent manipulation, like market manipulation.
I
The
don't
dude's been doing
understand.
that for a hot minute.
Is that like an actual thing? You have to like who you exactly have to tell?
The FCC, who's the FCC? Who manages? This is a world.
SEC, yeah, I think it's the SEC, but also for tax purposes, you'd have to mention it.
Imagine doing taxes and then you're just like, oh, I gotta. It's for business. I gotta write off my Twitter purchase. How many billion was that?
Oh, that's the wild thing, bro.
So I don't know if I mean, people are scared of it because he's one of those outspoken guys on Twitter, says whatever he wants, kind of like Trump.
Oh, okay. So
So
here's the thing. It's like so he's being sued for failing to disclose his ownership within the SEC mandated window. So I guess when you make a purchase of this magnitude, it has to be declared to the SEC, and they're alleging that he didn't do this in order to keep the share price low in case he was trying to in case he was trying to buy more of it,
Yeah.
because they knew once he got in, word spreads, and all of a sudden prices rise, and he's controlling the market, because then he could be like a week later, thanks everybody, I made my Billy, I'm selling it all or whatever, and they're trying to prevent that sort of shit from happening.
so I think there's a quote where Elon Musk said like one of his visions is to make the internet uncontrolled, right? Like take all control away and just have it like a free system.
Yeah.
But is that even possible? Like, cause
I think so.
like like Teeper, you write apps. Like every app has an algorithm, and you are in control of the algorithm, right? So it's not uncontrolled; it's controlled.
Yeah.
Can
I
it really
yeah.
be? Can it really be just be like just a free flowing algorithm? Like there's no human being controlling it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm almost wanting to say that that's kind of like YouTube's. No, I don't know. I almost felt like that. I read that somewhere, but I can't confirm that, man. Where they talk about YouTube's algorithm,
Hmm.
suggestions or whatever. Right now, it's
Hmm.
gotten to the point where it's just kind of like self-learning. I'm not even sure if that's true. This is something I read a while ago,
Uh,
but I'm not even sure. Which it kind of makes sense in that it seems very aggressive in the last year versus years prior, where it's like you watch one video on how to make eggs like Gordon Ramsay, and then like for the next 3 days you get nothing but like how to make different types of eggs. And it's like, bro, calm down. I just needed that information. I don't need to know everything about eggs. But I don't know if that's true. I don't
no.
know if that's true.
Speaking of that, why do I have so many suggestions to watch like long jump and athletics? Like, you guys
Bro,
getting
the men
these?
of culture stuff. Hold on. Okay, sorry. Before we
Oh,
get into that,
oh
let me
God.
just say one thing before
Oh
we get into that.
God.
So here's the thing. I was doing a little bit of Googling. So it's required if an individual buys more than 5% stake in a company, that kind of information must be disclosed within 10 days.
Hmm.
And so since he didn't disclose it, that's why people are trying to come after him. Not only SEC, but the Twitter shareholders or whatever. And then Twitter shareholders also have the other thing of like trying to make sure this dude doesn't buy more ownership of the company. But yeah, that's the thing. You have to disclose that level of purchase within that window.
Mm,
Wait, so,
interesting.
so so wait, you disagree or agree that the internet can and will be like completely deregulated and just kind of free flowing eventually?
Oh, sorry. I was still trying to figure out why he was being sued.
No, 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 no.
I don't know, bro. To be honest, I think everything needs a little bit of regulation, because if not, you have the Wild West. In the same way that I always feel like we need regulations of people. That's why you have things like safety belt rules and things of that sort. In basic standards with FDA, even though that's not always followed, but basic protocol when managing food to prevent diseases or insecticides and all that shit coming through. Like we need baselines, bro. And we can't just be wilding out, man. Well, we about to see the metaverse is coming through soon, so we about to see what the Wild West is gonna be.
Because isn't so crypto is supposed to be decentralized? Like, there's no one Elon Musk who controls it
Yeah,
technically, right?
yeah, but it doesn't
So
mean it can't be manipulated. That's the thing.
mm, True, and I mean, billionaires. Some of these billionaires, are they the right people to control some of these things? Because
It's not about are they the
they're
right
not the
people.
most. They're not the most down to earth, or
It's not
the
about
kind of people who are gonna feel the suffering. Do they feel the suffering of the people? Are they really trying to help us out?
it's not about whether the rich people are the right or the wrong type of people. It's the matter of the fact that they're the only people that can make these purchases. Therefore, they're the only option.
But
Unless
wouldn't would you? But would you prefer 100? 1,000 millionaires being investing, and then they have to all agree before something happens, or just one huge,
yeah,
gazillionaire making all the decisions?
I would say yeah. I would say yeah. I mean, yeah. I would prefer the 100 millionaires to have to agree first. But I mean, then again, even they're so close to the same demographic. After you pass like hundreds of millions of dollars, it's all the same in terms of ideals typically.
Hmm.
But like Phil said, like most of everything right now is regulated. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's like, uh, um, things in terms of the government and like purchases and stuff like that. In that essence, yes. But I do think just like crypto is kind of unregulated, I do think the internet eventually will be too. Because everybody has access to it. Everybody can start their own thing. Like and again, like Google is one of the most powerful players in all of this. YouTube is one of the most powerful players in all of this. But I think wait, actually, YouTube is owned by I think Google is YouTube's parent company. So really, Google be pulling so many strings. It's not even funny. But yeah, I do think that eventually the internet will be like feels like just for lack of a better words, the wild wild west. But yeah, I don't know. Probably depression will go up, right? Because people don't even know how to handle like Instagram right now. What do you think is gonna happen when they get into a metaverse? But that's a different topic. It was kind of like a saying Sigma move. I think it was a dope move because now he power played them because now it's either they allow him to buy the full thing for what $43 billion or they don't. He ends up selling his stock because he's allowed to sell if it's his own. He's allowed to sell. And then the stock price tanks. So like he literally power played this and has all the leverage in the situation.
Yeah, I think what these guys are gonna have to do is they're gonna have to look for someone else to come up with a better offer. That might
No,
be one way out for
but
them.
that's I don't think that's the issue though, because I don't think Elon Musk is like if someone offered like say 60, I don't think Elon Musk is hurting to say like I can't say 61. I don't think that's the issue.
Mm. Yeah, but he's also a smart enough dude that he's not gonna overpay for it. If he
For
doesn't think it's
for
worth it.
for
He's
sure, but
already his offer is already like way above, because a lot of times if you look up situations where companies have been bought out, they usually are the price that's offered is like below the current market rate
interesting,
a lot of times. But
interesting,
this time it's above, and it's above by like a good amount.
right? But
So
that's the
he's
thing.
already done that on purpose to kind of put them in a position, because he knows it's going to be very hard to find someone to beat that price. But if someone does come, then it becomes like, well, now am I gonna take a hit just to prove a point, just to show him that I can't
A
because I
bidding
have the money?
a bidding war.
He might. I mean, billionaires think different.
I mean, like you said, I think he's already eradicated most, if not all, his competition. So, you know what I'm saying? Like
All right, Bezos. Well,
video.
well, I mean, his wife took half, so maybe yeah. Now he's a little.
I'm dead, bro. All of their wives are taking half. What you mean? I'm pretty sure Elon didn't Elon get divorced too?
No, 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 not at all. Not yet.
Not yet, not yet. Uh, he named this kid like Delta Triforce Cheap something something something.
Yeah,
Oh my
that's
God, that's nonsense.
Imagine what
that's the second dumbest thing he's ever done.
Tesla SpaceX CEO Elon Musk has had a headline-grabbing personal life over the years. He has six sons, has been divorced three times, and recently broke up with the musician Grimes.
Yeah. I don't think they're divorced, they're just separated.
Same difference. Actually, no,
No, financially,
no,
no.
financially, no. Yeah, you're right. What's that saying? Cheaper to keep her.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep.
But with, I mean, he has to be like 43 billion. Can he just build? He could build a better Twitter. and succeed.
Yeah, if he really wanted to, yeah. Yeah.
Because he's proven that he can start companies and take them
But
But that's the
take
thing.
over
It's
the
like they
business. Like,
think what was the last social media that like came through and took over? Like TikTok, right?
TikTok. Before that,
yeah,
probably before that.
Instagram.
Snapchat,
No.
Snapchat.
Before that, it was Snapchat.
I thought Instagram came out after Snapchat. So Snapchat came out after Instagram?
Hold on.
I don't know the
Yeah,
timeline. Okay.
yep. Snapchat came out later.
So okay, so you have Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
So
Like there's all
Instagram app launched in October 6th, 2010.
damn, I didn't know 2010. Oh shit. So it's like it's difficult to get to build a large social media, even with money.
Snapchat was developed a year later in 2011.
Yeah, man. So even if he had the money, I don't know if like people would congregate to it.
But
So,
he look at his track record, man. He started Tesla, and no one took it serious, and now
but
he's kicking every car manufacturer's ass. Like
So
everyone is creating an electric car because of him now.
because of him, yeah,
but
yeah.
the issue with that is that it's like, especially for someone in his position, it's smart to just buy what's already popular, because it's gonna be it's harder to strip people from what they're comfortable with or what they're used to, rather than just conforming to what they already have and implementing your own, ideas and uh, interfaces into that itself, than starting brand new. Because then you gotta convince you gotta do marketing. And again, he's not short on funding for any of this, but like humans travel the path of least resistance. Why go through all the trouble of making your own network, getting people to join, advertising, marketing, all that kind of stuff, when you can just buy what's already popular, what's already, most used?
Buying it is definitely a shortcut, right? It's gonna save time. You're gonna get all the users at once, but I feel like right now is a good time to start one because Facebook, for the first time, is losing subscribers. Like no one is signing up for Facebook now.
Bro, not that many people are even using it, bro. I don't believe so in my
Yeah,
estimation.
but this was like there was a couple. Wait, when was this? I think it was either early this year or sometime late last year that Facebook put out a report saying, this is the first time that we are
Oh,
negative
yeah,
on.
a couple months ago, Facebook daily
Wow,
active users fall for the first time in its history. A couple months ago.
And
wow.
if you saw the stock price, it just tanked, man. After that, like people just lost faith. Like, and I think that's part of the reason they've gone so like hard on the meta thing because they're trying to like redefine like a new area for themselves.
Right.
So if Facebook is in trouble, and then Twitter, to be honest, I mean they haven't done since they launched. They haven't done anything to make them like refresh their technology. I mean it's the same. I mean they have one new feature where if you have an NFT, you can make that NFT your profile pic. That's it. Like you're like come on. Like they're also kind of hit a point where I think they've hit a wall in terms of like they can't come up with new ways to make Twitter bigger than it is. It's I mean they
Yeah.
increased the number of characters that you can have in your post, but I mean there's so many things that probably should have come out of it by now.
I honestly, what else can be done with Twitter? I don't know because it's not something I've researched. I'm just asking to brainstorm ideas. But what else can really be done?
Just to be
Mm-hmm,
specific.
mm-hmm.
Just to be specific, though, like Bezos said, the stock for Facebook plummeted 24.5% and erased more than 220 billion in the market value, and it's the largest market drop in its history.
Oh, god damn.
So,
God damn.
like Bezos said, like it does make sense why they're completely transit, not completely, but a like a big part of what they're doing now is they're trying to shift to the metaverse type thing.
Yeah, and if this metaverse thing doesn't come through, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen to them because I mean they have money, but the problem is if people who buy stocks, just investors, don't think you have a future, then your price just keeps going down because it's all about what people think you can do, not necessarily what you're doing. So you
100%.
might be doing all this great work,
Yeah.
building a whole universe, but if the investor's like, these guys are old, let's move on. Yeesh.
100%.
Oh, like what
Oh,
what what improvements can be
Are
like
you
what
you're
suggestions?
talking about like for Twitter?
Yeah, because I'm not a Twitter
Not
user.
it's well, I mean, dude, you can get banned for pretty much not it's not as bad as Twitch. Twitch you can literally get banned for anything. Twitter you can get banned for very very simple stuff. Like I've seen people who have been like they go back and forth in a conversation and then one person's I guess losing the conversation or they get too mad, they report the other person for harassment, that person gets their account deleted. So it's just kind of like I guess you could better the review systems of like certain reports.
you mean like in terms of like Twitter features?
Yeah, but you have to.
No, the question was on like what are new things they can do, or like
I mean,
I
you
got
could.
disconnected.
They had fleets. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what fleets are. Fleets were basically Instagram stories, but for Twitter, and that was popping off for a while. Then they took away that feature. But in my estimation, and I know it's hindsight's 2020, and it's kind of like short sighted to only say this with the information and the stuff we have now. But I think social media, in terms of the layout, kind of has reached its peak in terms of like what it is as of now. Regarding on how it can transform and evolve, that's a different story. But improving on what it already is, it's kind of like reached its peak. You can, you got everything is kind of optimized and made to where it's like has an easy user interface and all that kind of stuff. Um, like other than like a
Yeah,
final.
but if you look at like Facebook, like remember, like think about how it went. Like at first, it started like it was static. Like you had your profile, your information, and then you would send messages, right? And you could poke people, and then they kept adding features. They added a news feed, they added like a chat, they added games like Farmville and all that nonsense. And then I haven't followed them lately, but they've always kept adding stuff, right?
Right.
But if you look at Twitter, like they really, I didn't, I can't. I look at Twitter today and Twitter like 5 years ago. I'm not seeing like a ton of features that they've added. I don't know. There's no chat feature. There's no profile. There's no games. Like, right now, games is making the most money, like in almost all entertainment business. Like, how come someone hasn't said like, how can we gamify Twitter? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just throwing out a random idea, but
Something
I
I
feel
know,
like,
something I know is that like it's the app chosen by the people. When something goes crazy on social media, for example, this is just a random example. When the baby fight with his ex's brother happened in that bowling alley, um,
hmm
people were going straight to Twitter to talk about it. It's like, and plus they have like a bunch of news sources out there. A lot of news sources. One of the first places they'll post probably on their own website, but right after that, the very first place they're posting is Twitter. Because I don't know, it's just I guess it's just easier to get things trending on there than Instagram. Instagram is flooded by a bunch of people's pictures. You know what I'm saying? You got a bunch of like just I think the biggest difference, that's perfect. The biggest difference is people's explore page. So for there is no trending on Instagram, and I think that is the biggest difference in between the two, and that's why I think Twitter is better in most facets because pe- you don't have to be following anyone to be a part of a trend. Whereas Instagram, if you want to
hmm
be part of the trend, you have to be following specific news outlets, you know, like whatever. I know some people follow
hmm
Shade Room. That's just one example, but you have to be following
hmm
specific news outlets. So I really think that's a big difference people don't look at.
no, and what Twitter is, their core feature. I'm not saying that they should, change the core feature. I'm just like wondering if, is that it? Is there no other additional functionality that could be added to make it better?
If it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
I feel like, okay, Twitter is like where the movements happen, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's BLM or any kind of movement, like
Just
people get
just
to get.
just look at the Will Smith and Jada thing. As soon as that shit happened, Twitter was on fire. Instagram was dead. I'm no, I'm
Well,
not saying
I don't know. Was it? I
dude.
have no.
Everybody, I'm telling you, yeah, yeah, sure. You might have.
But
If we had to do a percentage, it would have been like 70-30, and that's being generous to Instagram.
that makes sense though because you're not going to be if you want to hear people's thoughts, you're most likely going to go to Twitter, right?
Right.
Versus
Instagram's mainly for pictures.
yeah,
So
and DMs.
and DMs, that's for sure.